Hello, this is Mrs. Brand here. Today I'm going to show you a little bit about Google Classroom. The first thing we need to do is go into Google Classroom, and we can do that two ways. We can click on the 9 boxes that is on our browser and select Classroom here, or we can go to classroom.google.com. You'll see that I have several classes already created in Google Classroom. To create a class, all you have to do is click on the plus button on the top bar and say Create Class. After you say Create Class, you get this box that allows you to enter the class name, the section, and the subject. I do have one class that I teach 4 different sections of, so I include a section number. However, it has been told to me that you should include the semester or school year that this class is taking place as either the section or the subject. Please note that most teachers usually create new classes for each semester that they teach a new class or each year that they teach a new class. I'm not going to create a new class because I already have one set up for you today, so I'm going to say cancel. And then I'm going to go into the practice class. There are 3 options at the top for your Google Classroom. There's the stream, your students, and the about page. After you create your class, you should start at the about page. It gives you the option to put a class description and then even add class materials. Some other options that you have in the about section: you have your class drive folder. For those of you that are unfamiliar with Google Classroom, whenever you create a Google Classroom, you get a new folder. Google automatically generates a new folder for you in your classroom folder in your drive. So if I come here, you'll see that here's the practice class, and it's nested inside of a classroom folder that Google created inside my drive. There's also a classroom calendar and a Google Calendar. These actually do look different. In the classroom calendar, whenever you create an assignment and you set a due date, you'll see it pop up right here. I don't often look at this classroom calendar, but I know that it puts that in there, and I haven't yet discovered a good way to explain to students how to utilize the calendar effectively. So I'm going to go back to my practice class here. I'm going to go to the students section right now. So you have a couple ways that students can access your class. You can invite them, and when you click invite students, you can just start typing in their names and selecting their emails as they pop up. That's how I added my students to my Google Classroom. Whenever you do that, it automatically sends them an email so they can enter into your classroom from that email, or they can go to classroom.google.com and then they'll be alerted that they've been invited to join a class. What I would like you guys to do today is use the class code. So whenever you create a Google Classroom, it automatically generates a class code for you, so you can give students this code and then they'll be able to join the class. I would like you to join this class so that you can see what it's like to be a student, and then also this is where I'm publishing just some links that might be handy for you to learn more about Google Classroom in the future. So to join my class, you would go to classroom.google.com, hit the plus button, and instead of saying create class, you would say join class, and then you can enter in this code. The stream is where you'll spend the most time in your Google Classroom. You'll notice that I've already published a few things to the Classroom stream, and you also have something called your topics. I think topics is a pretty important thing to discuss. In my Google Classroom, I have my topics set as quarters, and the students can click on those topics, or I can click on those topics, and I will only see the assignments that I have assigned to that specific topic. If you want to see everything in your stream, you just hit the back arrow. So I've created 3 topics in this classroom: advanced option, introduction to classroom, and tips and tricks. And there's a really great person that you can follow on Twitter, and she has a blog where she has lots of Google tutorials. So I found a few that I thought might be helpful, and I'm adding these links in here for you. The next thing we can do is add an assignment. This big plus button right here will give us a few options. I use the reuse post option a lot, so especially for the classes that I teach multiple sections of, so I can just create one assignment and then say reuse post and then copy it to the other Google Classrooms for the same class, just different sections. You can create a question where you're just asking them a question. I use this feature a lot for my exit tickets. You can create an assignment, so this is something that you specifically want the kids to do and turn in by a certain date. Or you can create an announcement, and when I showed you the things that were in the topics a minute ago, I entered those all as announcements. So there's nothing that the students have to turn in, but this is where I'll put like instructional videos or helpful links pertaining to what we're learning. So I'm going to create an assignment first today. You can give it to all students, or you can uncheck it and give it to just certain students. You can title it, or you should title it. And the first one I'm going to title to insert in here is called Google Classroom Questionnaire. And then you can give some instructions, but that's optional. The due date, I usually make the due date the day that I assign it, because I like for the students to see in their feed when something is missing, because it alerts them to do it. Here's where you can select your topic. So I am going to select Introduction to Classroom. And then you get another option. You can add an attachment, go into your Google Drive, add a YouTube video or a link. Almost all the assignments that I do, I add Google Drive. I add through my Google Drive. And when I do that, you'll see it automatically defaults to recent, which I find very helpful, because a lot of times I'll create the assignment and then I'll just go to upload it, and it's usually the first thing that I've created. When I do nows, I like to do them as forms, Google Forms. I find it really helpful to ask them questions in this manner. Then if there's anything I'm surveying them on, I get the nice pie chart or graph responses, so I can see how everybody is answering the questions easily. But I do want to make a couple suggestions. So I'm going to go to the tab right here that shows my Google Classroom questionnaire. And if you're not sure how to use forms, it's pretty simple to use, but I'll give you a couple quick tips. Under the settings gear, you should always say collect email addresses. If you don't collect their email addresses, then you're not going to remember whose is whose. And then say save. And another thing, for those of you that teach a class with multiple sections, I will usually create one master do now for them, and then I will go to the three dots and say make a copy, and then I will make a copy, and instead of it saying copy of, I'll put the section number here. So, and I put the section number first because it makes it very, very easy for me to find these Google Forms later. When you create a form, you can do several different kinds of questions. And you can see when you click the drop down next to your new question, you can do short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, check boxes, drop down, and so on. And I've used a lot of these. I will tell you, short answer, if the answers aren't 1 or 2 words, then don't use short answer. If you want them to write a sentence, use paragraph. I've had students tell me that they don't like that they can't see in the short answer box. So if they start typing a long sentence, it's really hard for them to go back and remember what they wrote first. So I typically always use paragraph when I'm asking them to write more than a couple words. Okay, so this is the questionnaire that I'd like for you guys to answer. So I'm going to go back to my practice class, select that, and say add. And then when I go to assign it, I can do a couple things. So this drop-down arrow is pretty important. You can assign, you can schedule, or you can save it as a draft. So if you know you want to use it but you don't know when you want to use it, then you can just say save draft. Then you'll notice at the top of your stream, you'll see something that says Saved Posts. If I click on that, here's my assignment, and then it'll let me finish editing it, or it'll let me assign it or schedule it. I think it's extremely important to schedule your classroom posts, your classroom assignments. Don't just assign it, because what'll happen is you'll get students that'll come to class and say, I already did the assignment. So if it's something that you want them to use the class time for, you should schedule it to be added to your stream just a couple minutes before class starts. For you guys though, I'm just going to click assign, because you can do these as you're learning about Google Classroom with me today. I also want to add another assignment in here, and this assignment is not going to really be an assignment. This is going to be a question. So I'm going to the plus button, and then I'm going to say question. And I'm not actually going to write it as a question. I'm going to give you a task to do. So for this question, I would like for you to create a class and then put the class code here. If you already have a Google Classroom, then you can just go to the Students tab and select that class code and enter it here. But I want you to notice a couple things. We can change it from either short answer to multiple choice. I want this to be a short answer. And then there's also a tab that says students can reply to each other, or students can edit their answer. I don't mind leaving the edit their answer option on, but I've had students not like that other students can see their posts. So when I use this question feature for an exit ticket, I usually turn this part off, because some students don't want other people to say something about what they've posted. If you want to use this question as an opportunity to create like a discussion board, then you would want to have the students reply to each other. And then I'm going to say ask. Oh, forgot to select my topic. Introduction to Classroom, ask. Now I want to show you how to add another assignment in, but this time the assignment is going to be a Google document. So I'm going to go to the plus, create assignment. I'm going to title it Practice Assignment. And you can give some instructions here. I usually don't, because sometimes the instructions are in the actual attachment from the drive that I'm going to put in there. But I'll put a few instructions right now so you can see what it looks like when the students get it in their stream. I'm not going to put a due date, but I am going to give it the topic Introduction to Classroom. And now I'm going to click the drive icon. I created something called a practice assignment, and I'll show you that here in this tab. Sometimes I like to use insert a table into my Google Documents, because it gives a specific spot for the students to put their answers. So I'm going to select that practice assignment and say add. Here you can have students do a couple things. They can view the file, they can edit the file, or you can make a copy for each student. It's very important, if you want students to turn in their own assignment, to make a copy for each student. If you forget to do this and you assign something and students can only view it, then you should instruct them to go to File, Make a Copy, so that they can submit that copy to you. I think it's extremely handy to have Google make a copy for each student. And then I'm just going to assign this. You'll notice now I have a few assignments in the stream, and I want them to go in a specific order. I don't want you guys to do this practice assignment first. I'd rather you do the questionnaire first. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my individual assignments, and I'm going to click on the 3 dots, and I'm going to say move to top. And what this will do is it'll allow you to change the order of your assignments. So I wanted this question to be the second assignment, and then I wanted this Google Classroom questionnaire to be the first assignment, so I'll say move to top here. So now when you guys look in your stream, you'll see the assignments in sort of an order that I would prefer them to be answered. Some teachers like to put numbers before the title of every assignment, so I could change this to 01, or if I know I'm going to have a lot of assignments, I can make it 001, and then I can save that, and then I can say the same thing for the other ones, 02. So if you feel like you need to give students additional help with knowing what order to complete assignments, you can use a system like that to title them as well. The last thing that I think might be helpful for you is to see what some of my classes look like and how I look at the student assignments and grade them. So I'm going to go to my 3 horizontal lines in the top left corner here, and I'm going to select one of my Art 1 classes. So these are the classes. This is the class that I have 4 different sections of. One thing you'll notice when you look at this is that there are 2 teacher names. There's my name and then the name of my student teacher. You'll also see that I have called it High School Art 1, 2017-2018, and then the 6 is for my section 6. But to get back to how I added my student teacher on, when you go to your About page, you'll get an option to invite teachers. So if there's somebody that you want to have access to the class, or somebody that you would like to allow to add materials or add assignments to the class, you can invite them here. Right, so if we go into my stream, you'll see that I've got several assignments already in here. So the last do not that the kids completed was a grade reflection on the 16th. So in your stream, you'll see what the due date is, and you'll see when it was assigned. But I like to also put that in the title of the assignment. You'll see that I've got 11 of them that are completed, 6 of them that are not done. And if I click on the actual form, and this is what I mentioned before where I put S6 first, so this is the assignment for my section 6 class, and then I have the Google form name. So I made a copy for each one of my classes because I really don't want to see all 4 classes in one Google form. If I want to see student responses, I can click on the Google form. When you click on the form and it opens in a new tab, it'll jump you to what students see where they can answer the questions. And I don't want to answer the questions, I want to see student responses. So I'm going to click on the Edit This Form icon at the top. And then now I get the view that, that I got when I was making it. And I can see all 11 responses. Because I made sure to collect their email addresses, then that's what you see here. You see all the email addresses for the students that have completed it. You get some summary responses right here. So if everybody responded in a similar manner, then this bar graph might be more helpful. And let's see another assignment. When I click on, so that's just to see the form version. Now if I want to see the Google Classroom assignment, like who has completed it, now I can select either the name of the assignment or the done or not done, and it'll jump me to this grading page. Google will automatically default to 100-point assignments. All of my do nows are typically 4 points, so I'm going to click on this and I'm going to say 4 because that's the points that I want, and then I'm just going to hit enter. And then I'm going to say update. And you'll see that now it's changed it to a 4-point assignment. I can see the students that completed it, and then below that I can see the students that did not complete it. So here's where I see the students that are done, and then I also can see the students that are not done. Sometimes students' names will be in not done even if they completed it, because they didn't mark the assignment as done in their Google Classroom feed. And you'll notice that when you go to grade the form and you see a student's email address here, but you might notice that they didn't actually turn it in on their Google Classroom stream. So sometimes you can see that. And I've run into that several times, and a lot of times I'll just grade it anyways, and then I'll enter a grade on their name even though they're in the not done section, and then that pushes them to the done section. So then after I can go ahead and look right here and see the individual responses. I can see what student this is. I can read what she wrote, and then over here I can mark down her grade. And then it gives her a 4 out of 4. After you do this grading for all the students, then you can return it to them. Student will be notified that they can check any grade that you left. So this is when sometimes I'll get kids that say, I got a bunch of alerts from you, because they have Google Classroom set up to give them notification, and every time I grade something, it'll give them a little notification. Some other assignments that I have in here. This one was posted just as an announcement, so a link to a YouTube video that I did to show them how to draw facial features. Here's a day that we did, here's the notes that we did from that day, and you can see that when I assigned the notes, I said to make a copy for each student, so that way when they opened it up, each student had a copy with their name in the document name. Sometimes I ask the students to type in a color that's different, or a font that's different than what I put in there. And I think, let's see, yeah, Skylene is a good example of somebody that does that. That way when they fill out their notes, it helps me to see what their answers were. And I think that's about it. So thanks for watching.